Good morning. Welcome to my studio. I'm Simone Patterson. This is our final workshop, final session of the workshop for Olin Hall Galleries. Today we're going to be finishing our work for exhibition. So I just want to remind you of where we started. We had a look at this new body of work that I'm producing called Colour Codes, and it's based on the work of Dr. Sue Mortimer and the energy codes talking about chakra centers. Now for this piece, we're going to do this, or we have done, a little design that will fill in these spaces here, and we stitched that out on the embroidery machine. But today we're going to finish this piece. So the first thing, before you remove it off the hoop, the embroidery machine hoop, you want to cut and trim some of your threads that come through the back. Now you have to be really careful not to cut too much of the thread, because you don't want any of your stitches to become unraveled. So what I do, I don't cut the bobbin threads, which are the white threads, and you can see a little white thread there. I leave them there because it tends to keep them stable. Now, before I removed the hoop, I also added some embellishment to our piece. I've used some little tiny seed glass buttons. I have a magnifying glass light when I stitch those on, and some vintage buttons. And it's really turned this piece into a little self-contained artwork. But I want to finish it up, present it very nicely, because I want to submit this piece for the Curator off-duty show at Olin Galleries. And as soon as the gallery is open again, I will submit the work. Hopefully you'll do that too, but remember, you need to keep it under 12 inches. And so this work will fit very nicely for that. So let's go ahead and remove this hoop. So I've loosened up this mechanism here, and it's easy to pop out. Very good. Now on the back, I've got my stabilizer here. Now, under normal circumstances, I would cut that away, but I'm going to stretch this work over canvas, so I kind of want to keep the stabilizer there because it softens the edges. So I'm just going to grab my piece of canvas there and make it centered. Just draw a line quickly on that stabilizer, and of course the stabilizer wasn't straight, so not really dark enough. I'll just do that a little bit heavier, so yeah, that's a bit better. Can see that. Doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, but square would be good. You probably can't see those lines, but I can see it good enough. So I'm just going to go ahead and trim it. Oh, please be careful. Do not cut your artwork when you're trimming off the stabilizer. I have done it. Oh dear, a little bird just hit my studio window. The downfall of having a studio surrounded by glass. He's going to be okay. He's fallen in a fenced off piece, so the dogs cannot get to him. He'll be fine. I'll check on him as soon as we've finished. All right. I hope he heard that too. All right, so we've trimmed off our stabilizer, and now what I want to do, I want to get rid of this indentation because that won't look nice on an artwork. So I'm going to press it. They do make beautiful wool mats that you can press your artwork on. I don't have one of those, but a towel will do nicely. I don't want to melt my workbench, and I also want to be careful when I iron. I'm not going to melt these vintage buttons that I've put on there. I've heated up the oven, the iron. Yes, I've been cooking a little bit, so there we go. You might need to spray a little starch on there just to help get rid of that line. So, second attempt. There we go. That's a bit better. Of course, we will be stretching it, and that will help alleviate. Now, you might be wondering to yourselves, why has she got such a big piece of felt there? Well, you want to leave enough so that you can actually wrap it around the canvas without straining the work too much. So I'll just move that towel away. And just to the ends of making the edge is quite soft, I have applied a little bit of batting, quilting batting, and I've just secured it with a little bit of glue from my glue gun, and this is the only corner I haven't secured, so I just put a little dot there. Maybe that was a bit much. Don't burn your fingers with the glue gun. I've done it a lot. And so there we go, we've got our canvas ready, and we have our artwork ready to stretch. Now, it's a bit tricky to get it centered, and often I will mark my mat, so that helps me get it centered. And I will have little rulers on hand. It does drive my husband crazy that things are not perfectly straight, so he's given me these machinist little rulers. That's helpful. I still manage to get it crooked and might have to do it 1 or 2 times before it's absolutely straight. Okay, let's see the top. And I'm very predictable in that I often don't give enough room at the top. Oh, well, I give too much room at the top because traditionally you want a slightly larger space at the bottom of your work, because it's a bit of an optical illusion that your work is falling off if you don't give it just a slight bit of space on the bottom. Okay, so that's sort of getting there, and I'm going to just pop in a staple. Well, this staple gun's been misbehaving a bit lately. Come on. There we go. We've got one in. Hopefully it will come up a bit. It's 2. I'm just going to continually check it. Okay, we've got a nice soft side, so it's not too bad. Oh, it's about 1/2 centimetre off. So this tool is essential. It's a staple removing tool. It's one I brought from Australia, but I'm sure you can get them here. And it's quite easy to remove the staple. You can use a screwdriver, flathead screwdriver. It doesn't work as well. So let's just check that now. It's 5.5. Oh, I've gone the wrong way. Maybe 6. Ooh, 6. That's pretty close. Let's have a look here at the bottom. Yep, that's 6. And that's pretty close to 6. Might be a little crooked, but I'm aware of the time. Usually I do take my time doing this because you want to get it right. Probably the most difficult part of this process is actually the corners. So I'm just going to demonstrate how I do the corners. Now, painters are really experienced of stretching their own canvas, and if you've got a particular method where you cut the canvas, go ahead. Cutting the canvas for me, or cutting the fabric here, is a little bit of a nightmare, so I won't be doing that. So what I like to do is just pinch it at the corner of the canvas, and then I want to try and get this edge as straight as I can coming up, and I'm just going to pop in a staple to put that nice and flat. Okay, that's not stapled very nicely, but what you want to do is always keep your work folded in the same direction. So if I did that and folded it there, it's not going to work right. So I want this part to be actually folding up. So I just have to reverse my hands. Oh, sorry, that was my knee knocking the camera there. I'm pinching. Oh, wrong way. I've got myself confused. I'm pinching right at the corner. I'm making a nice little pleat, and then, I'm folding up the bottom. And I'll just put in a little staple there. I think we've got time for me to do that another time. So I want this side to fold in. So I'm making a nice little pleat right at the corner, and then folding in. I hope you can see that. You've really just got to do it yourself. Give it a go. Like, if it's not perfect the first time, you've got you've got 3 other ones to try. By the time you get to the 4th one, you'll be willing to pull out all the others and do it again. So pinch, make the pleat, and fold it over. The goal is to get this right on the corner so it's nice and neat. So it's not over there at the side, but it's nice and neat and as flat as you can get it. So a little bit of tension there. Okay, so it's not exactly straight, but it's pretty close. So now we're ready to put that work into a frame. Now, ideally, we would take it to the framers to do that, but for a lot of us, that's a bit cost prohibitive. Now, if you are working in standard size, and this is a standard 8 by 8 inch canvas, you can get frames. You can get little insert frames like this one of one of my mandalas of chakra, which is an insert, and it does have glass. Now, normally I never use glass, but I really like it for this series. Most of the time, I'm using a little floating frame. I'm just moving some stuff out of the way so that you can have a look. So that little piece will work very nicely inside there. Just a little bit of pressure, we can fit that in there. So now we have a finished piece. Of course, it's going to sit a little bit flatter once you attach it at the back here. Now, I'm not going to go through that process, but I will say to you, you need to pre-drill those holes into your canvas. Now, before you do that, I recommend You put a little spike down there so that the fabric is pierced. Otherwise, if you put your drill in there, the fabric's going to wrap around your drill and it's going to pull away. And it's going to make a bit of a mess, which you don't want that to happen. Trust me, I've done it so many times. Excuse me. Take this off. Okay, so now we have a piece that's ready. Once we've put our hanging thread on the back, it's ready to be exhibited. So we're coming to the end of the workshop now, and excuse me, I'm going to move the camera one more time, and here we go. I really want to check on that little bird. So I'm really hoping that you enjoyed the workshop and that you were inspired to maybe make your own piece for the curator off duty at Olin Hall Galleries. Remember, you've got to keep that under 12 inches and you will be exhibited along, hopefully, with hundreds of other artists in the area. If you have any questions about this whole process of doing machine embroidery, planning, designing, outputting or finishing, I'm really happy to answer any questions. So please follow me at Simpat Studio and direct message me, or DM as they call it. Any questions that you have, I'll be happy to answer them. I'm also happy to follow you. I'd love to see the artwork that you're doing. Also in my bio, you'll be able to click there, go to my website, find out any information about me and the projects that I've been involved with. I also have an online store if you want to purchase any works. The little mandala chakras are going to go on sale next week, so pop online and have a look at that. Finally, I just really want to thank Olin Galleries for supporting me running this workshop. I've really enjoyed it. We've had some messages. Other people have enjoyed it too, which makes me really happy. And hopefully I'll get to see you all in person soon. Really look after yourself. Spend some time making art. Spend some time thinking and reflecting and quietening your mind, because I believe that really helps our health if we can just quiet our mind. And the practice of art will help you do that. So bye. Thanks, everybody.